Dub Nation, you're watching Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. So much to get to on today's show, and the primary focus, Andrew Wiggins. With how well he's been playing throughout the NBA playoffs, should the Warriors offer him a contract extension so that he doesn't even come close to thinking about leaving the Bay Area? This guy has been integral for this Warriors playoff run, especially this Western Conference playoff series against the Dallas Mavericks, in which he has guarded Luka Doncic really well, and offensively, he's really come up huge for this Warriors team. Obviously, everybody is talking about Andrew Wiggins following his Game 3 performance on the road against the Mavericks to push Golden State's lead in this series up to 3-0. The exclamation point dunk over Luka Doncic, which was criminal, that it was actually called a foul at the time, then overturned after Steve Kerr had challenged it, was really the highlight reel-worthy play of this entire Warriors playoff run, and a statement play made by Andrew Wiggins. Now, we're going to get into the conversation about whether or not Golden State should sign him to that contract extension. Also, Steve Kerr says that Andrew Wiggins, is the most important part and the most important component of this entire Warriors playoff run, which is why they've gotten back to this position. But first, I want to take a look at the numbers here. So, regular season numbers for Andrew Wiggins, and this all coming in his first appearance in an All-Star game: 17 points per game, 4.5 rebounds. He shot 46.5% from the floor this past year, 39% plus from beyond the arc. In the Western Conference Finals, though, you can make the argument he's actually been better than that, both at the Chase Center in San Francisco and in that Game 3 performance on the road, beating the Mavericks. Almost 21 points per game, 7 boards. He's connecting on about 47% of his shots and almost 39% of his three-point attempts, and his impact defensively, as I said, against Luka Doncic has proved to be huge for this Warriors team, especially after the injury to Gary Payton II, when it looked as though the Warriors were going to be depleted with some of their wing defense. Andrew Wiggins has certainly stepped up on multiple occasions, and he's been a perfect complementary piece, right, throughout this playoff run, and really since he came to the Bay Area. You know that you have the star power on this Warriors team with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. Jordan Poole has ascended into one of the more exciting offensive players in the league. And then you have Andrew Wiggins, who sometimes has to be one of those top options offensively. But if he's not, he's cool with being that fourth or fifth offensive option. But night in, night out, you can always see Andrew Wiggins making his mark on the game in a variety of ways. And sometimes it's more so offensively. Sometimes it's more so defensively. The point here being that type of all-around skill set is crucial to this team, especially with that wing defense, which after that 2019 season took a monster hit, and they lost a lot of wing defenders, and from that point on, they really struggled on the defensive side of the floor, especially last year. This year, though, they have ratcheted up their defensive efforts, and a big reason for that, it's Andrew Wiggins. Now, I've always said this about him. He's overpaid, but he is underrated. I'm not sure with this next contract extension that he's going to get paid like he's getting paid right now, between $30 and $40 million, but he's underrated because of the impact and the fingerprints that he's able to put all over the game, because he can do so many things in a winning fashion, both on the offensive floor and on the defensive floor. So I want to ask you this. If you want the Warriors to re-sign Andrew Wiggins as he goes in to the final year of his contract next year, I want you to like the video and then comment why you'd like to see Andrew Wiggins as a long-term Warrior. And if you don't want the Warriors to re-sign him and you'd rather them use that money and allocate it elsewhere, explain your thinking in the comment section right now. As for that contract for Wiggins, 1 year left, $33.5 million. And yes, you look at how he's played right now and you're like, you know what? He might be worth that. My problem with that much money is that he's not doing it night in, night out, but he doesn't need to on this Warriors team, and that's why he's a perfect component to the puzzle on this Warriors roster. But if you ask Steve Kerr if he wants Wiggins back, he'd probably say yes. And we want him back for the long term. He thinks that Andrew Wiggins is the most important component of the Warriors getting back to this long-standing playoff success and making yet another deep run for the first time in a couple of years. He was asked about this on Tuesday. He said, "I think the Wiggins trade is the key to all of this success. We lost so many wing defenders after the 2019 season. Our whole wing core was wiped out defensively, so the Wiggins trade allowed us to rebuild that wing defense. Wiggins has been so good. He's gotten so much better over the last couple of years. He's a perfect fit next to our guys. I don't know where we'd be without him defensively on Luka Doncic and every other top wing that we have to face. He's been brilliant. I think that move was the key move that Bob Myers and the front office made to get us back to having a playoff-ready roster." And that right there, folks, is telling. And the Andrew Wiggins trade is so classic Warriors. They got a damaged asset back, and they were able to put him in this Warriors culture with the most selfless superstar in the history of basketball in Steph Curry. They realized the impact that he was going to be able to have, not as a number one, because that's not Andrew Wiggins. He doesn't have the dog mentality to be a bona fide number one option night in and night out. What he can be is a very good two-way threat and one of the best all-around wings in the National Basketball Association, and that's exactly what he's been able to do for this Warriors team throughout this playoff run, all culminating in what has been the best playoff series of his career. He's taken it to the cup. He's thrown down some highlight reel-worthy dunks. He's hitting some big pull-up and fadeaway jumpers. He's knocked down some timely threes. He threw down the yam on Luka Doncic, which is going to be put on a poster for every Canadian basketball fan to put in their rooms, and they got a damaged asset. They traded away D'Angelo Russell, and in exchange, they got Andrew Wiggins, a huge piece of this championship hopefully run. And also, in addition to that, Jonathan Kuminga, who could be a future star for this team. They put him in this culture, and they've gotten the best out of Andrew Wiggins. And honestly, it has been a hell of a trade for the Warriors to pull this off, and a great move by Bob Myers. Now, coming up next, Bill Simmons on his podcast with Ryen Russillo did talk about maybe trading Andrew Wiggins away to get another star. As for who he thinks the Warriors could pair him up with and what they could get back in return, stay tuned for that. And honestly, it's a compliment to Wiggins with how good he's been with the value they could get back. But first, if you want to show love to Andrew Wiggins and you've been amazed by everything that he's done throughout this playoff series, get into the comment section right now and type Wiggs, because this dude, he's been straight up balling out. Now, if you want to bet on the Warriors to win the NBA championship, you can do so with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Offering a 125% deposit bonus is BetUS. If you use that link at the bottom of your screen, chatsports.com/bet, and the promo code chat125. And what do you know? The Warriors right now in the thick of the NBA playoffs with both conference finals going on are the NBA title favorites at minus 160 odds, followed by the Boston Celtics at plus 225, the Miami Heat at 5-1 odds, and the Dallas Mavericks plus 6,000. Get your bets in, and hey, if you want the Warriors to win the championship and you think that they can do so, why don't you lay down a bet? Because it could ring true, and I think it will, because I think right now the Warriors are the best team remaining in the NBA playoffs. Let's hit some Warriors trade rumors here on Golden State Warriors today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. On the Bill Simmons Podcast, he was on with Ryen Russillo, and they were talking about the growth of Andrew Wiggins, how good he's been for this Warriors team, and the steps that he's been able to take over the last couple of years after it looked like he wasn't going to be that number one pick worthy player with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And maybe he'll never become that superstar player that a lot of people had envisioned for him coming out of Kansas. But what can he be? And what has he been for the Golden State Warriors? A championship level playmaker who has been great defensively and offensively. And they talked about the idea of trading away Andrew Wiggins in addition to James Wiseman. Now, you take a look at the two players on my right in Wiseman and Wiggins. I've already talked about the impact that Wiggins has on both ends of the floor as an offensive player and a defensive player. And because he's going into the final year of his contract, his future a little bit unknown. He's still somewhat young as well. So you pair up the trade asset of Wiggins with James Wiseman, who didn't play at all in his sophomore campaign, but has tantalizing ability as a special big man who can really do a bunch of things nicely on both ends of the floor, and you might be able to get a third superstar back to pair up with Klay Thompson, as well as Steph Curry. And yeah, I'm not going to say that Draymond Green is an all-around superstar. He is a star on the defensive end of the floor, but the conversation between Simmons and Russillo kind of hovered around the fact that if you were to trade away an Andrew Wiggins and a James Wiseman, you could get back a bona fide star. And in doing so, the thought process here is that you can get something really solid in return, take a little bit of pressure off an older Steph Curry, off an older Klay Thompson, and an aging Draymond Green. And you can have yet another extension of this Warriors dynasty, which right now is in its third phase. By getting another superstar, it would enter its fourth phase. So there was the pre-KD, the KD, and now we're in the post-KD dynasty run. How about a fourth extension with another superstar? Now, there are some truths here. Wiggins and Wiseman can get you back a very, very solid player. We're talking about a potential superstar type of player. But with how Wiggins has been playing throughout the playoffs, is his value too much to surrender? And does he give you so much that you don't want to give him up? The Poole contract, Jordan Poole contract, is also looming as well. You might have to pay him around $80 million per year. I mean, that right there is realistic, that you have to pay Andrew Wiggins that much money. If you want to put the tweet icon there, Coop, you can do that as well. But, focusing in here on Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, these are two pieces on this roster that you want to have over the next couple of years because they're good complementary pieces next to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, as well as Draymond Green. So if you're looking to extend this dynasty and you want to compete for another championship and you want to try to get another run to the finals in you, in addition to a couple more runs in the NBA Finals, maybe you want to hold on to the young pieces and pair them up with some of the older pieces on this roster as well so that you can have yet another extension of this prime for this Golden State Warriors team that might not slow down anytime soon because they're playing great basketball right now. There's no question about that. And even though Steph isn't playing scoring-wise like he did last year when he led the NBA in scoring, he doesn't need to. Why? Because of Jordan Poole on this roster and Andrew Wiggins, so you don't really want to deplete your depth, but it is certainly interesting to think about maybe trading away an Andrew Wiggins and a James Wiseman for another superstar player out there that would make you an even better team. Now, before we hop on out of here, I want you to help me out. I want you to let other people know on the internet what we're doing here on Golden State Warriors today. And we're talking a lot about Andrew Wiggins. So for the purpose of this exercise, you see that share button right below me? I want you to hit that share button, and then it's going to give you a couple of options. I want you to select that Twitter icon, then tag me on Twitter at Chase_Senior. Use the hashtag Keep Wiggins if you want Wiggins on the team, or say something else if you want to. But click tweet, send that out to your followers so that they know what we're doing here on Golden State Warriors today. Appreciate all of your support as always. Cannot wait to talk about this Warriors playoff run. Hopefully they finish off the Dallas Mavericks. Sorry to Coop because he is a diehard Mavericks fan, wearing a Mavericks shirt right now, but I think the Warriors have this series in the bag. And then once that's the case and they dust off Dallas and they make it to the NBA Finals, watch parties for every game of the NBA Finals. Can't wait to do some play-by-play and interact with all of you.